Thank you, Jane. And I'm really pleased to have the brilliant poet and critic Fred Moten here to read alongside our own Daniel Benjamin. Before we get to that, let me just tell you about the last reading left in the semester. On April 8th, Fanny Howe will be here, reading with David Bendalu. So tonight we will have Daniel Benjamin reading first, introduced by Ismail Mohammed, and then Adam Ahmed will introduce Fred Moten. And let's just get to that. But right before we do, I just want to say that the Holloway series wants to mark the recent series of efforts going on digitally and locally in poetry communities to make them safer and inclusive spaces for people of all genders, especially the most vulnerable. We join in those efforts and assert our solidarity with them and with fostering joyful respect for difference of any kind. Thank you.
Can you guys hear me? Good evening, everybody. I'm Ismail Mohammed. I'm honored and excited to be introducing Daniel Benjamin this evening. I'm Daniel's friend, first and foremost, and I hope that he won't be too embarrassed if I speak intimately about how I perceive his mind working before I get to his poetry. Our talks together often revolve around a few central texts, and probably the most frequent of those texts is actually an album, Nothing Was the Same, by Drake. He was a rapper. And I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that Daniel is a little bit obsessed with that album, as any like warm-blooded human being should be. And no matter what we might be talking about or thinking about, Daniel will find a way to weave Drake into the conversation, which is fine with me. This is a lot about Drake's versatility and potential as an object of study, but it says even more about the set of concerns that motivate Daniel. If Drake's appeal seems rather magnetic for him, it's because his songs are explorations of intimacy, vulnerability, and desire that are ultimately reckless and fraught. And I think much the same can be said about Daniel's work. Above all, Daniel is driven by the desire for and dream of a radical sociality that is more empathetic, more vulnerable, and above all, more capacious. In his poetry, I'm concerned with a future-facing and provisional collectivity characterized by an openness of feeling, a displacement of the lyric I in favor of a patchwork self that finds definition in and through others. He gestures towards a willingness to listen, watch, and wait for the moments that draw us into community, that give us weight. In these moments, he shows us how we might become vessels for the intensities of feeling that others transmit. As he writes, I carry my vacuity with me as a reminder. Reading his poetry, one gets the sense that this vacuity is a reminder to be attentive to the myriad ways community may find us. In the form of a pregnant woman posing for a selfie, and attention to the subtle shifts in the atmosphere that characterize California's weather, or maybe just the willingness and patience to stand and wait. Please welcome Daniel Benjamin.
Thanks, Ishmael. That was really great. And thanks, Jane and Jeffrey. It's a real honor to be with Fred. I'm going to read a longer poem and then a shorter poem. Okay. The day after Bastille Day. In my dark, cold room, it has always been Bastille Day. More than annual, like the small excesses around us, between us. It learns what it is as it moves. Your life is according to the rules, so we will learn them, leaning back like the song tells us. The focus to avoid the negative is strong. It is required. Pages perforate, why not us? I carry my vacuity with me as a reminder, as well full or empty as the shampoo dregs dissipate and I am a little less clean. Money refills everything. Another book awaits me, blue and starry, filled with underscores. So beer me and be here with me. The sun was at the ridge when I arrived, though lightly wreathed by wispy white and purple clouds. Then a small gap of blue sky, then a slightly larger, slightly darker cloud mass, only lit from below. all blue above and to the east. After the sun fell behind the mountain, the wispy clouds remained well lit from below, so softening the passing of 5 minutes that can otherwise feel so crucial. A pregnant woman posed for a profile shot. To say I had no feelings is like saying there is no weather in Berkeley. My heart was poised, brimming in one direction over the space that contained it, like clouds spilling over the mountain, and in another direction open as the cloudless eastern sky, brightly awaiting something as substantial as the moon. The moon is over the hill by now, but the sky too clouded over to see it. I gaze promiscuously at the bright clouds wandering only a short distance. I find the brighter part of the sky and rest my stare until the racing clouds leave enough of a gap for this very large, very visible moon. I remember when the bright moon shone through the tent at the shore and the night seemed like morning. The moon bears silent witness, the racing clouds nearly purple. Dark live and dark on tape delay. I didn't notice it was dark in Oakland until they put on the Giants game and I saw the giant moon. When I returned home, the sky is more blue than purple, the clouds thinner. So the moon, a little smaller I guess, shines through the clouds or bears them as a light jacket for mild weather, or lies over them as an animal in its environment. I too am smaller or larger, brighter or less bright, depending on what surrounds me. Tonight the moon is shrinking and I am feeling swollen. At the lake with Adam, or in a patch of grass near the lake, in the hour or two before sunset. Every color is here, it seems, in the green around us, the green between us, the crew of kids with the jug of wine, the lake, the clouds, marked by the sun who remains, absent though somewhere, all of us. We're probably wandering for food when the sun does set or waiting. I don't say that the colors bleed together as a matter of force, but sometimes I let them. I too would prefer there to be a moment when I could say, now is the end of the things relating to the sun. And of course I could, or of course I believe I could. As the day dissipates, so I also dissipate. I dreamed I'd filled every page by writing 2 lines at the edges. No marvel, careening hair, clumps at the edge of the bed where I have gone in the hopes of finding this absent center, the source of my vision. I'm looking for my vision. I'm letting the screen dim. I know that the sun is hot, that the moon isn't out yet. I'm ramping for what the Day of Atonement atones, when I am just here, answering and ignoring the dust around the power cord. I'm waiting for the phase of moon that will mark the pronoun shift, a moon so bright it resembled morning. I'm still seeing, if not by moonlight. The fast is more of a stretch. It does not count. I am going back into my room to find a residue, and it will be residing happily under. The residue should produce the visible until it's cooked. What the day does not atone, is it for me to simply say, or contemplate darkly, tangles where they gather, angled against clear sight. I reflect the hurt back and it dances on the wall, enough to distract from objects to limbs askew. The vapors invisible, tone and desire for tone, and stones covering the tarp, and desire for stones do not fall under a general contrition. The crunch calls me back, and I would rather get lost in the haze than shout over the hum of the box fan and wait until outside is cooler. For what? For quieting with other hums that I do not know and hear only at a distance. Now the cat pokes into a closet, now the digging birds outside disturb. Now I have reached the perforation across the page. When the moon turned red, I slept, unconscious of the many sunsets and sunrises whose light it gathered. But I am content to have marked its large white coldness, that my phone camera between the trees made look like the sun. As if my eyes were failing, the pressure seems to strengthen. I was trying to look at the moon and ended up looking at a harsh, bright street lamp. I saw 2 deer, and I would like to say by moonlight, but I still saw them if not by moonlight. Now it's waning time for slowly letting slip away. I would rather expand, swell up, and replace the light of the moon, live on without it. Following the sound across the white pool whose dividing line is still cones, only round, ugly in reflection, and even uglier in recursion, the living without thing, the living without thing that takes the gravel over the tarp, the soil over the concrete, the litter over the ship. Only thinking without distance, that of course what is there is also here, that nothing is lost, only divided to be recombined, to take shape in this, however condensed. But nothing real collects, black marks on creamy white, dumb show of refusing division. So keep it, a hovering, extending line as imaginary could want to be. Imagine flying away to anywhere, flying apart. Only the names change, only clinging to the weak act of naming, because I do not know how to speak. I am listening to the animals snore, waiting for the emergence to language, the settling. So what if I drops in from time to time in the foregoing ongoing? The floor is swept, the sink is full. The language that couldn't pile up but turn us into the gods that we are, that separation, power, and proximity, and to you, always burnt with eagerness. I turn on the radio before I begin to see. I hear the call of the political. It is everywhere. Scanning for the moon and seeing only stars, expecting that thin cupping shape, a bit swollen now, and earlier the sky clear enough to see to the other side. So later I just looked for the other side and saw only streetlights, only stars among the streetlights. Now the mornings are cold. This is a lyric poem whose fantasy is communism and space travel, which is why I love it when a bright star turns out to be plane or satellite. The moon is soft clay, made of dust, hair, crunched leaves, the underfoot. With the radio off, only the occasional trill of the garden birds lulls me awake. Only the dull roar of not distant roadways. Only the neighbor's tread. I won't sleep on the call, it is everywhere. I only sleep now and then, my ears always warm with meetings, my feet twisted into these orientations. I only fall luckily, looking up on the part of the street with dimmer lighting, and that's my privilege. Okay, this is the last poem. February 21. If I leave the light on, the crescent moon is just bright enough not to fill everything. This is a metaphor for the miracle that there is a language great enough for you and I to speak to each other. Though even a new moon is never empty, fullness varies. You light up my screen. Time avails not. I have a full cycle of generousness to accomplish, a cycle so it repeats. And repetition is more important than difference, and difference is more important than repetition. The truth's disorder, but I leave the light on in full expectation. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Adam Ahmed, also known as the Adam of Daniel Benjamin's poem. It's my honor to be given this occasion to introduce Fred Merton, a thinker and poet whose work is a testament to the insistent life of occasions that need no introduction. In Moten's ongoing project, tracing those forms of social life that exceed their conditions of possibility, occasions manifest in those
interstitial places of space and language, where history is always being improvised, in the ensemble, at the Revolutionaries Tavern, at the after party of the bad party, on the street, in the projects, in the cut, underground, on the edges. In these places of extemporized social convergence that form the setting for Moten's sonic and metaphorical congregations, the occasions that matter evade time in which they would be counted. Moten's work exists within and through the evasive present of occasion, resisting a structuring force, but poetically and politically, if such a distinction can be made, committed to an improvisatory kind of organization. Using his vocabulary, we could say that his work is appositional to a structuring power rather than oppositional. It finds occasion in the little edges. Moten's critical work, In the Break, The Aesthetics of Black Radical Tradition, published in 2003, forms an ongoing and evasive occasion in those figures whose voices echo through his work. Notably, Karl Marx, Cecil Taylor, Duke Ellington, Amiri Baraka, Frank O'Hara, Jacques Derrida, and Nathaniel Mackey, with whom Moten taught in the Duke Literature Department before heading to UC Riverside. The book is occasioned by an elliptical clause of Mackey, quote, an insistent previousness evading each and every natal occasion, unquote. Those of you familiar with Mackey's work know that this previousness insists out of and against an originary disjunction or wounded kinship of Black diaspora. For Mackey, quote, to poeticize is to sing, to poeticize or sing is to talk like a bird, away with words and sound given rise to by a break in social relations. For Moten as well, the previousness of Black life insists through its performance that displaces, because it has historically been displaced from, the syntax of subjectivity. Quote, and this is a quote from the book, the emergence from political, economic, and sexual objection of the radical materiality and syntax that animates Black performances indicates a freedom drive that is expressed always and everywhere throughout the graphic reproduction, unquote. Writing 10 years later with Stefano Harney in The Undercommons, Fugitive Planning of Black Study, Moten proposes that fugitivity is the condition of those lives that refuse to be governed or regulated. Quote, some people want to run things, other things want to run. If they ask you, tell them we were flying. Knowledge of freedom is in the invention of escape, stealing away in the confines, in the form of a break. This held close in the open song of the ones who are supposed to be silent. This incantatory set of evasive propositions is held together by the song it conjures and performs by the end. Here, as elsewhere in Moten's work, song is the deconstructive play of knowledge that ruptures the syntactic structure of subject and object, the structure that has historically allocated what kind of subjects can speak in language. Language is where law is made and monopolized, where speech is possessed and regulated in and by the aggregating metonyms of the department, university, agency, or simply they. But metonyms can also be broken, mispronounced, reversed, displaced from what they occasion. And Moten's poetic work is full of sonic and syntactic play that generates other occasions of language. These works include B. Jenkins, published in 2010, which you could find over here, Hewson's Tavern, published in 2008, and I Ran From It, but Was Still In It, which is a great title for a poetry book, published in 2007. His most recent book, The Little Edges, was published by Wesleyan University in December, and it comes on the heels of his last book, The Field Trio, which was released in April 2014, which was a National Book Award finalist. The Little Edges is described as a book of occasional pieces written on behalf of other works, events, or friends, and it's a book that's very aware of the many valences of occasion, as a ceremonial event, a timely moment, in one of many instances. The book's occasions emerge out of an ongoing attendance of convergences, rather than the recognition of an event whose national or universal importance is preordained, which occasional poetry has historically been associated with. These poems don't mark the end of an occasion, but its incalculable unfolding in the evasive present of poetry. This starts with the opening dedication, which enumerates a litany of infinitives for assembling. Quote, to frequent, to gather, to solemnize, enjoy, to enjoy, unquote, only to end with an address to a departed friend in another poet of occasion, to Jose Esteban Munoz, originally of the Mass. By the time we reach the address to Jose, however, the name has fallen under the spell of these infinitives, so that it becomes a call to action whose conditions are infinite, just as the name appears embedded in those forms of congregation that these verbs occasion. Moten's poems, or shaped prose as he's called it in this book, moves sonically across different names, places of address, vernaculars, and breaks, accruing occasions and ambiguities. For instance, the first series, Fortrid Fortrin, begins with an omitted occasion. Quote, that's what Rodney asked about. Can you make what we already, do you remember how did the people have? Let it get around and get on in. The deictic that, which comes as an answer to a question unavailable to us, points us back to the words we have, which goes on to form and provisionally answer the question, can you make what we already have? It's a beginning that insists on a previousness that evades the incipient moment of the poem, only to bring us closer to all of the poem occasions in its speech. In this way, the poem resists a certain reading that would make it a single historical instance of insurrection. As easily as the Rodney in this poem can be Rodney King, whose question, can we get along, as to make what we could have the means for. It can also be Walter Rodney, the Guyanese post-colonial Marxist thinker who tried to remake the history we have in his major work, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. Then again, maybe the Rodney here refers to none of these Rodneys, emphasizing beginning out of detachment rather than a historical continuity. Elsewhere in the book, pronouns function to generate a kind of echoic location of address. In the poem Wait for It, which simultaneously waits in anticipation for the event of the workday end and the messianic suspension of all ends, the pronouns cut across different occasions. Quote, that we refer to something, that we regard something, that we in regard to something else. They tell us what they think they know, and we wait till they understand. I'm tired of waiting till they understand. See you later, unquote. Within the same horizon of the line, the voice moves from a near anthemic litany of predications, that we refer, that we regard, that we in regard, to a they that forcefully predicates the we according to what they know. The poem ends with the I casting off this we of they, but the occasion of we lives on in the I that carries the line to its final farewell. See you later. The poem ends by departing from us, but also departing from an end as such. The little words, see you later, open the possibility for a future occasion for convening. On the street, at the rally, in the club, at the after party. It's an opening that lies in waiting, an occasion prolonged by insisting on elsewhere, but it's also here, in the renewed promise of a once perfunctory greeting or farewell, the little edges of words at the heart of all occasions. Please join me in welcoming Fred Moten.
Thanks, Adam, very much, and thank you too, Daniel. It's really hard enough to follow one of you, now I have to follow you both, but I will try to persevere. It's been a long time since I've been in this room, but I'm very happy to be back in this room. The last time I was here, it was a kind of sad occasion. It was the memorial service for my dissertation director, Julian Boyd. And I want to read a poem that I wrote with him in mind from B. Jenkins. It's one of the poems in this book that kind of has two titles, and all the titles in this book are proper names. So, actually, I know it's been a long time since I read here because I have to go down here and get my other glasses. There's been a lot of deterioration. Walter Benjamin, his sphere of intricate weaving on a table, playing body and soul with John Searle, whose background transcribing a head arrangement. Funhouse implicature, the city is a passage through the woods, hard row, on the track of things in fragments like a Polish logician. Shall we dance? We will, and shall we will a borderland. I'm a philosophical grammarian, reading knots, playing taps, rolling, chanting, curving in the evening when the sun go down. Cause my optical circle for scarring is the black sun, canting pilgrimage and fellowship and missionary work of picking peas of John Brazil, hard row. Black and red was a pillar of salt, and black and brown rage against empire. Jose Hudson curled beside laboring women in black hunger, black rice and black fire from the city scrawl space to the pyramids hinged on collection, under distancing, so I'm living on that music again. The picture book is a word book on that music again. I went to see if I could try to make her happy, but I just chant blue and brown effect like that silk crest Cecilia wore, with her small voice in the black sun. I owe you the truth in stealing, and I'll sell it to you, holding petals and blue and brown strings and cut grass. My friends are black like a country, move in the game like strangers, break codes in the street, get loud on Sundays in the streets, revive and drink some, gamble and huff. Julian Boyd. And let's read one more from B. Jenkins. It's called Julian Jabril, who is my youngest son, who was named after Julian Boyd. Julian Jabril, in perfect beat, no tonic, not at home. The bravado of your vibe and that inside smile got me running up and down the street saying, look, look, look inside my bag. See how muted he is on the outskirts of the new modal auxiliary city, my gerbil, bent chroma of the girl who sold the sun, little cheeks puffed out like a little cannonball, already defending himself from rough kisses, come carrying your own sign in the first place. New ensembles calling for you every night, because word is out about the way you straighten up. Last night, your big mama told me all about you. What waits for after, the mind can't imagine. I'm going to read, actually, some things from a really long time ago. Actually, things that I started working on when I was a student here at Berkeley. Some of these things go back into the 80s. And they were part of a chapbook that a great friend and poet of mine named, or a great friend of mine and poet named Bill Corbett published called Arkansas. And but I never really stopped working on them. They just never I don't know, seem quite right. So I think maybe someday I'll republish them and I'll just call them like New Arkansas. And like Newark, the way that Baraka would pronounce Newark. But they're sort of dated in a way, and I don't know how I feel about that. It's kind of weird, but it's okay, I guess. This one is called UC Santa Barbara and Crenshaw Follies. I don't know, none of y'all probably remember Latrell Sprewell. So this goes back to when he was with the Warriors. One of the great dissident basketball players. Fought against authority. UC Santa Barbara and Crenshaw Follies. From gallery by engine, gallery and window, smooth Los Angeles, a scar. New mission, new fake, new step, red tie. Eladio's professional city grass. White, new connect, new spray, new squall, new move. Edge of the cruised and inscribed inside city. City walk and promenade or palisades. Sunset turning, pretty terraces, flowered over hoods and pale malls. The stride and queue and brick and Grand Mall. Edges rip the other things on Monday afternoons up here from the Black Warrior. Other talk with curling irons or Black Warriors. Red hot as other things on Monday afternoons. Willie Davis, Reilly Phillips, Lamar Lefevre every day, Wes Parker. Quarterly conference till you know you got to cut a motherfucker with delight, even if you don't get that edge to get to what she might say to reconstruct. My derelicts wait. They cut absolute with gardens and sheen. They strike that shit. Get up, get down, dive, sound. That wall and edge. My fingers slip and sink inside like stick writing. Pulled up inside me. Came on the inside of my skin. Dive, sound, and curve. Wait after that and write it off to the side of that come on, get off, dive, sound, get down, let's get down, let's get down. See, I'm extended contraband and long time release pharmaceutical gift to the English department. White circuits double flicker, trip of the future chair. It calls for that reduction of signature and they know that. Professors of City Walk by Beinecke. Through the see-through walls and the absence of even them voices like toy horns. Thought you might be interested, G. Worth a read, S. When I first filled out the application to join the White Boy Circuit, the face of all deletions is still always up under whatever saves the screen and became the mark of that one time doing what you never want to be doing ever again. Just this continual interrupt and taper these precise broke measurements and displaced tones from all the uptowns you've never been to but read about and have some cousins in, Lake Providence. Now everywhere you go, you're trying to run over one of these motherfuckers. The shit is sad. The Cadillac of the circuit empire is white, back in like a tank, but it's better for the heat. Calls and white hog, white pig like that, not here. Not here, motherfucker, not here, goddammit, not here. Motherfucker, motherfucker. Goddamn it, goddamn, not here. Just for a minute, I took my hands off the beam. Is the one thing I did right still burning at the heart of this application? Latrell Sprewell is a Shona bird. Aggressive bottom lip, long finger, no kind of spool. Absolute Sprewell, 6'6", 222 pounds of man. 22 talked about this from Tippin Lake through agile, hostile Alabama, from chopping cotton in Tuscaloosa next to the field house, field nigga, work song, daybreak. David Murray stray like 22 to Steve McCall. Sam Cunningham rebroke the Magic City from Sonny Blunt to Abby Lincoln. That's how Bird cut his tether to reality in Wisconsin, where they eat you. You think a nigga would be satisfied with 32 million and act right? Alan Fine would think these agents would act in the best interest of the game and keep birds' foots on the ground. Lynn Elmore would think these players would realize that the opportunity to play professional basketball is a privilege and not a right, and adjust their attitudes accordingly. Fuck them. My braid brushed against the bottom of the board, softer than me. Each bird has an individual marking. There's nothing like them in the region surrounding the compound. My compound wraps around the river and the freeway delta, blue stucco hills and edged up streets curving right into 22's plane. Schoenberg is like that, like bird flew in, like a bird edged but relaxed in someone else's city, an arbitrary bird in music history, bird's eye in our thatched symposium, that bird nests in Mottenland lowlands, bird song's broken foam, free bird seed on the ground, scratched with orchestra, bird tipped past ain't that nothing, through how we memorize what we ain't done, through all that little flutter and every last tapped foot, his winged foot relaxation is oitocular. So, yeah, after I left Berkeley, I went to Iowa. So, this is called Theory and Song of Iowa. Differences without opposition. Rain turns snow blue-gray, and it reflects the carpet as the grass shines under. Nothing without the sound won't show me things. I need to hear you talking, but I just see the flatness. But hear the hills, they roll, but no trill, no Jimmy Lyons. So I write Bill. I should have called. I build the institutions, but for someone else's spacing. The old new language. Singing flowers for another green, because in the space between plane and some surface behind me, like if the lights on, walk down the staircase, but the phone got shook. We touch nights each like if the lights on, circle to thick in any other chord, but the white one in my ear, Laura, my city. Intersection of singularities. Curving up west winds, bird flew right through me, then the bus curved. Or the time I dropped something and shook so I moved down, then up the hill, and breath threw me on the rolling engine. Tell me about the minister in Iowa, but it was nothing outside. The sound won't show me nothing till the voice throw image. Laugh outside the house. Lady flew through winter in the movement with a staircase. Hinge whisper, but it wouldn't do. What you won't do, oh would you? I would, and Willow do. Much. Break windows to warm my hand, reach like if my wedding band, hold my hand like your hand, which is the right song, the real, giving me something I can feel. Not, but nothing other. Gonna write me a poem about daybreak in Havana. Was it winter in the blue shook hills? For Monk and Irene's accidental trinkle, Alabama, Alabama is a word from Carolina, and the red about red sound out from lines that I'll be sliding from Texas for writing poems in Alabama, way up here in Iowa, like a voice from High Point, and how that Hamlet moved me the way the grammar of the outside smile and fall, the way her hands don't move, the door won't turn, the cannery fold, the window explode, the floor collapse like triangle, the way they calls us bitches, the steel curve in her throat till you can hear him say, I don't know if I can do this. I'm trying to get to the essential. I don't think I can move that quick. I don't know if I can touch her there. I don't know if the globe is a telegraph of shirtwaists. Fires blew up cities, lucky if unlucky, if that concrete, if the door open, if it locks, the long migration to the new world, move that other speech. I don't think I can. I think she came from that other Carolina, in the open, that other meeting, singing school time, off time, daybreak, on that other cool one, for that other sphere, that other phone, from that other cloister, by that other cluster, discomposed up in that other Arkansas. another couple ones from here. This is called Felix Mitchell's Progress Past Elementary School, plus 40. So Felix Mitchell is a kind of famous, or you could say infamous, drug dealer in Oakland. He was kind of the leader and originator of this sort of gang. It was the 73rd Street out in East Oakland. And when he died in prison, and they had this amazing funeral ceremony for him when he passed away, when I was here in school. Like it went all over the city, from East Oakland to West Oakland. He was in like a horse-drawn carriage. It was like, it was amazing in a certain kind of way. And I was, at that time, living downtown Oakland and riding the bus. I like to ride the bus more than BART because I like to look and see. And also the bus was like a language lab. There's so many different sounds and accents and stuff. So a lot of times I would indicate on these things what bus I was riding. So this was from the 40. Do they still have the 40? You know, anyway. You know, East Bay Transit. In a fake ride, crushed in a fake house, cracked velvet, stemming wide. Keisha flicks while the Ivory Man passed. The Ivory Man passed standing up, an airplane, a diamond mask and a shoe, a mechanical boat, a train and axe curving, San Pablo whistling at 5 and 4 and 3. Red cubes hold down a ponytail, got on with a baby doll, and little sunglasses, got off on School Street. Brushed past at 27 with a little baby doll, and Milky Way, Rose and Cocoa Pocket brushed past. With a trike to jam, the villas on 69, the wind at 17, window and feel the one with the goldest hand, holding down, brushing past. I wrote a whole bunch of poems called Arkansas here, and I think I'll just read maybe a couple of those. Arkansas is where my mother's family came from, and so some of these poems are just sort of the place names are from places in this small town, or a couple small towns that I kind of circulated in Arkansas when I was there, graduated from high school. If you read this poem, it's called Cuba and Mount Tabor, but Cuba in Kingsland, Arkansas is pronounced Cuby. And that was the neighborhood that my grandmother and grandfather and mother lived in, and they called it Cuba because that was where all the gambling and fighting went on. And evidently, Cuba in 1937 was iconic for gambling and fighting. So, Cuby and Mount Tabor. All the houses curved. All the sisters work at Sonic. Everybody talk like this. I'm getting ready to tell you something. I know you ain't gonna like it. You remind me of a white man. Where is your wife? I heard she was Anglo-Saxon. Bad as you used to talk about white folks. No, for real, what is she, Italian? All the branches curved, green outside garden. Booker Neutral had a white woman in Pine Bluff, where it's past midnight for every engine. But you know, I'm so thankful, Mr. Pascal, so thankful. Like someone sanded the box of your voice, like a brass button. All the pink is gray, some faded alpha bullshit and unpolished silver. Take a camcorder to this shit like some dynamite. Blow that goddamn church up too, and let the hedge grow. Bryant Liquor. All the white folks Mimi loves have sunk into the Moro bottom. They say to say hello, we just think she's precious. Saline, Pale Washita, Panther Creek, fragments of airport, silent wine, Mississippi red table wine, chilled. Temperance Hill and this pillhead fucker named Steve, ugly ass Miss Rogers, cross-eyed cow, and that Elmer Fudd looking principal, various Parkers and Klappenbachs, Spearses, Matthews, and Gills. kind of had a hard time in high school. Mississippi Red Table Wine. It was like something out of like a bad sequel to a Faulkner novel, but like authorized by the estate. Some guy from Harvard had decided that the best place to put a vineyard was on a former cotton field in the Mississippi Delta. Anyway, so one time we were driving through there, anyway, it was sad. The wine was not good. I mean, I don't know anything about wine now, and I knew even less then, but I knew that this was bad. A cricket. At midnight on reserve, screamed in, the bottom is dry, and the guild of softwood is sad. She know the cut is another rub, and the sound of that, whine and ring, scrawl. That same dark as before make the window a background. The shelf is full of animals. There's Jeffrey Wright. And it ain't no tern, no moose, no buck. This mug has been playing on top of me since Mama got that cake out the oven. I was gonna say I know what art is. I know how the world works. But the snows came and my power is low. Call Laura. All you can do is go back to Arkansas. So I want to read something from Houston's Tavern. I just kind of accidentally opened it and it seemed like it might be okay. It's called Late Fable. The black market is an open secret. The Undercommons is the city before, long road. A stall, a stroll, a stride, a thought here. An insecurity of the secret. Freddie, if you don't get my money tonight, school secretly hates insecurities. Don't let them in, shut them down. Security of the near is far away. Activists left for the summer. The power's out. H-E-L-L-O. Hello. My emergency, my universe, my thing, my wealth, my love. It's not possible to go too slow in the inflected letter. But ain't it funny how time slips away? Simple motherfuckers love to talk, clear letters, the work of the project public. We could start playing some music. The black market is an open city to say how much to go that deep. Motherfuckers who love to get clear. The torture of inclusion is a mechanics of exclusion, so come with me. Meanwhile, trying out beats, simple motherfuckers cleared letters, love to talk. Long as we can turn down, away, anyway, 12 to 6 to the midnight port, the alley, to move to the question of membership. There's a set going on to open the books, to formulate. My hustle is strong. We ordinary cities, but we look like black fields, long row. H-E-L-L-O, hello. The longest road I know. Me and Mimi watched a video at Garden Crest. Up from Dias in the boot heel, Owen Whitfield's Garden City. Looking out for the other fellow first makes you sing. You become Lorenzo Green. Leaps across a ditch of quilts and churns to juke a song for an island city. A road march to Laventille with Lord Invader's Socialist Society for Brinkley with Jerry Eckwood. Mimi said they had a war in Elaine. Boot heel music outside Owen Whitfield's Garden of the Outside. This was on 61. Put things where you could get it. Put the wealth outside. The sharp, rapid notes on dialectics to get what Owen Whitfield put there in LaForge and Delmo and Cropperville. Here Lorenzo's green, off breathing. There is blackness, with which the people have been called, and who sway fervently the claim. Volunteer to call yourself to this interior scar outside. All themselves black have been historically aligned, for which they have been given. A world has swayed fervently, voluntarily, but under constraint everywhere. Hold, throne, a particular embraced affinity of veering, have loved and hate that romance. The people who are called black, who have been called out of being by blackness as blackness, have loved blackness, changed blackness as love, homelessly in love. This has all been terrible, beautiful. So that's There's Blackness, and this is called Here It Is. I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, then why would I say I am? The R to the A to the K I am. I am M. I'm M. In him, I'm am. Yes, ma'am. I'm back. I back. I'm hip. My man. I am that what I am, that one, that's me. I am that I am my own special creation. Tell him that I am. Tell him that I am sent you to say I am. Tell him that I have not, but I am, and as I am, I am, I am, I am, I jam, goddammit. Damn. That nabbit. Hey, Bobcat. That gummit. That dacious. That bobbit. That blasted. Sandblasted. Gold in them there Sam eyes, Sam Hills, Sam Wise, Sam Ganja. Sam I am. I am not Sam. I don't eat ham. I don't eat no ham. I do not play no rock and roll. Radio won't even play my jams. Peanut butter but no jam. A piece of bread together. Damn. God damn, you God, make your own goddamn sandwich. Just like bread and jam for Francis. Just like my little honey pot, my rain cloud, I made up a little hum. I hope you like jamming too. Peanut butter makes you jam. No jam makes you jam slow. Watch me. Watch me slow jam. Watch me deepen. Susanna, watch me jam Club Alabama. I just re-signed with Feyenoord of Rotterdam. My daybreak half-shell buzz is just a new industrial glam, so watch my hands. My leg is jammed. The plant is closed. The I-beam closed. Kick out the jams. I am. Hamtramck, Mississippi, Goddardam. The Rheingold bling like Will I Am in the shook-up hills with a bib cap and some hoppin' John. John, are you my man? I am Imam. I am the bomb. I am Iman. I am an extra pretty man. I'm not a ham. I'm ham with essence. So I'll read some from The Little Edges, and then a couple of new ones. And then so I think what I'll do actually is well, there's sort of two longer, somewhat longer sequences at the end, and I will read those two. The first is called Test, and it's got two epigrams. A small and still isolated incident in New York shows what can happen if authentic authority and social relations is broken down to the point where it cannot work any longer, even in its derivative, purely functional form. A minor mishap in the subway system, the doors on a train failed to operate, turned into a serious shutdown on the line lasting 4 hours and involving more than 50,000 passengers, because when the transit authorities asked the passengers to leave the defective train, they simply refused. And that's Hannah Arendt from On Violence. More than 50,000 subway riders were stranded in the tunnels of the IRT 7th Avenue line last night after passengers on a defective train in 110th Street refused to leave as instructed by transit authority employees. According to the transit authority, the trouble began shortly after 5:30 p.m. when the doors on a northbound train failed to operate correctly at 110th Street and Lenox Avenue. One man said he had stayed in the tunnel directing others to exits at 103rd Street. I acted as though I knew what I was doing, he said, because people usually believe you when you do. It's Robert McFadden from the New York Times, January 4th, 1969. This is how we never arrive. Infuse what we surround to not remember. Every day we cross from slave state to slave state in the barrack cars. We pass by to avoid examination in the sun. We were dark to ourselves when that bird started whistling in the tunnel, making music we were made to follow, failed to legislate, wouldn't get off, got off so hard we got off everywhere. Our breathing empties the air with fullness, and we're in love in a state of constant sorrow. The outcome is another process, a way into no way. The refuge is open and can't be safe. The mobile engineer puts some alternate Dutchman pressure on. F-train stand for fuck whoever won't ride. The private investor's inability to afford himself is more and more clear as a general costliness. M2 just go on whenever they want to. People need to get to church and it's a bike tour. You can't drink that store-bought coffee from a flying saucer. The Animachine is Henry Dumas stopping bullets. Wide-intervaled Woody Shaw flying transfers almost all the way to Mermaid. The newly born instrument has a whole bunch of differences. Your refusal ain't unsustainable, it just can't sustain itself. You do what they say till you die like a dog. Too much stress on the impossible one. We stress this past the point to bring the history of getting down. Experimental slant can't help but hurt you. Look how hard and sharp it makes you breathe. You have to refuse in real time with things that revise in real time when the wind is closed. There's some ways not to love refreshment, but they all fucked up. We quiver with work and revival. We carry ourselves till you're ready to hear what that sounds like. Across 110th Street is a hell of a tester. The blackness of the witty partition be hand to mouth to hand, and the subway out of breath is an air shaft under a rent party. The rent party is the curriculum of the rent party department. The department was so outlandish and groundless that she was arrogant for cause, stiff up in the face of the unadmitted, as they exist on paper, in donation, in contempt of their training. Though a citizen of Riverside, just up from Amsterdam, might not want to try to understand charisma. Like Kenneth Warren, she didn't know what African American literature was. Soul courses in Marburg were an expensive spirit and a waste of shame. Zaylan was solo, unadmitted. Anecology of the supplement department. The burnt fringe of speakers. La Coping Strata. Bottom and jug off-centering. Everything, every good, every trumpet was deported by her voice, which was never more than enough from holding her breath on Riverside, where you can still feel the burn of the Eastern question. Eastern man alone in her caress, fiending rub studying the desert in the church of the unnaturals. There's a riot going on and on for the making of black revolutionary stone on stone. And this is called Laura Made Me Listen To. Well, yeah, that's the other good thing that happened to me in Berkeley. Laura Harris. Daydream and halting made me look at music. I started. She was sleeping. I started painting. Through Nefertiti, the beautiful one has come. Through Shorter in Corona language. Though now and then in air and ease and interested in falling through the little edges. Old women with babies and windows show me that curving violet today. It's fall across the park. A doll baby in the plaid shirt tail of Los Angeles, held like a breeze down the grass. A painting running a nail's edge, barely steel on a picture of forests on a black flower, a steel bar tracing black crossing on a violent swing. The absence of your letter shines, ties you the lonely weaver, veils wind around the spear. The trees male sounds like aspen. The chains shine Valdez. Layla, the lonely colorist, is Nia's velvet découverte. Immediately shade, be playing daydream looking through. Thrill the air with a regular flash, somebody playing daydream looking through. All the sun in colored glass to play the mystical body. Come and lay your, come and brush. Murmur garden, brush with them long rush by water. Lay tongues with them, watch the land grow feline in the Lagos and the Vegas. Spring and hush inside. Your form is bend and form. Glow pretty behind you. Never be the one in sequence. Of the flu who work off collage, Lil is following. Only Joe lies stone and Dan is stiffly breathing. That slight stiffening of Paolo reading as Amelita reading too. Silk is blue flying around a relic. You're a brush, but no soft delight, just hard delight. Just curl talking, just urge talking. Scratch, angel, like Johnny Griffin. In the light up close and black in quiet parallel. Remember the recording angel? Kind of crack that window open, sweet. Through the sun, but way down on the tapestry. Del Bolton, Elvin Jones, Amal Dublon, Johnny Griffin. It's a funny old sort of day. It's a funny old kind of day. There's no world. Selflessness, an organ waiting happily. The day swings. Holding, we hand and watch the water. Somebody lost too, somebody soft too. The 1st November, lacing. After 12, I'm worse than a gremlin. I turn skin soft, turn your lips soft, soft water, apricots and peaches. We built some cities. You are my starship. You always hold the perfect ones. The delicate ones, so savage in your inner room, left there, tied-tongued, tuned. Your logic has a close-in click, and we are softened. What I learned about the sonnet and you, wishing in these last few words between then and now, Laura, Marlena Shaw, and then and now are tremors, listening to touches, the little edges of occasions at the heart of all occasions. So, just going to read 2 more sort of newer things. I got all fascinated with the letter O, and so I got, a bunch of, so I got 2 poems that are kind of from that. One is just called, I don't know if it's ooh, or double O, or double ot, or something. It's one of those. Ooh, let's say ooh. Groove conjecture and ruthless happiness. Oh ooh, oh absence and contusion. Rehearse and strain in the new colonial rubble. Sufficient for grounding refusal in plaza. Real grammar is weed ecology. Outburning of outbuilding. A bloom surround a picture of nothing but surrounding, there she go. The essence of it is way outside. Multiple scenes for exhausting the pure multiple speech of impure release. Send her thighs anticomputable flex through past and future. Big Mama's recombinant animal be impossible to dress. Nothing like no makeup for the more plus less than ones that have been reduced to a target of him making himself up, faking himself whole, pushing wholeness on the whole, still riding old pain, still riding old pain. Stop riding old paint. Goodbye, old paint. I'm leaving Cheyenne. We emerge in the wide border where Alton and Hortense persist in simulation. Moved boogie oogie, Munoz through the booger, boom bridge exclamation, self-stimming itself away up under all that surfacing for scratch surfaces. The surfetry of our raggedy ass circuitry, till we all decide to improve. What's Enderjet plus Enderjet? Enderdragon. Can't expect how math go groove. Oosh. Then a more, its notion saying can't understand. We a message when we. And this is O2, or oxygen, I suppose. Here I go in my black forest. What it is with the real groove rolling through the burial and deep frying of my hammer and horn. Here goes some lip-smacking swine in a black spear. It's an appositional quickness we stuck on. The first 6 books taste good, and you pale when you become an observer. When you make your observations on being an observer, when your ruler takes over, we detonate and chant and dredge the sea. If I ever even try to stop singing this, you can eat my heart. Till then, I'll be trying to kill you every day. I say this not to you, as if you were there, or you, but to the house band. This head just stay in the air. We must be our own dream, huh, Miss Jackson? I would be so quiet when I stole into the kitchen to get my cookie, which you said was mine without ever saying, so you could dream about me doing it again and again while falling, still falling. Your air just out of reach, all information blown away, all that fabric inside, the gravity of all that free love.
Thank you for coming to occasion. As Adam mentioned, courtesy of UP Books, we have several of Fred's books, so please come consider them before you leave. And come back on April 8th for Fanny Howe.